Okay, today we're going to talk about lip enhancement in terms of what I think is safe. I have seen a lot of advertisements and press right now concerning different types of solid implants into lips, and that's really where our focus is going to be. VERAFIL, all the long legacy of different types of GORE-TEX and silicone implants into lips in terms of solid implants. My opinion, I'm categorically opposed to solid implants. Not to say that it's a dreadful procedure and if you have it done it's going to be terrible, but because I think that almost in every single case the results are not as good as they can be on two levels. One, in terms of naturalness, the way that they look, and two, in terms of naturalness and the way they feel. And that's something that people really don't emphasize enough. And let's say you have the most beautiful looking lips, which I don't think you really can achieve with solid implants. But beyond that, they don't feel natural. And if you ask any of my staff, when they start feeling these lips, everyone comes in and they go, look at my lips, and I really don't think they look good. But in addition to that, when I have my staff feel the lips that have had solid implants, they feel hard. Especially even if you think a lot of times when a product like ADVANTA or whatever it may be is given to you in your hand by the surgeon and they go, look at how soft this is, how pliable it is. It really is soft in your hands for the time being, but once they get into your lips, they start to become, from the contraction of the muscles, harder and harder and harder. There's also a lot of other problems with solid implants. They become infected potentially, they shrink, they get harder, and they don't look natural. And part of the reason why is if you think of the two options for a solid implant, one is you can put the whole solid implant in, or you could put little segments in. Let's consider both options. If you put a full solid implant in, it can also shrink over time. But in addition to that, it just simply feels hard. And it looks terrible because when you look at it, it's a single sheet. Remember, if you listen to my other videos on lip enhancement, I'm not going to go into all that because I've got so many videos on lips, but today is really just focused on why I don't use solid implants. The solid implants simply look like a straight row. It looks like a duck. There isn't ability to shape and make a contour, say, you know what, this is not enough, let's make a little bit more here, let's shape a little bit more there, let's make this one a little bit bigger, boy, it's a little bit here. And even in my best work, I need to go in there and just do some little finesse work to make it look as good as it can be. That's not really possible with a solid implant, one. The second thing is that let's look at the other option, putting little pieces in there. Well, they feel like little pieces in your lip, and you're kissing someone, you're eating some food, you're licking your lips, you're constantly reminded that you got a solid implant in. And that bothers me significantly. It doesn't matter if it's saline or silicone or GORE-TEX or ALLODERM or any of these things, they don't feel natural. And of anything, let's say out here a cheek implant feels unnatural, whatever, but it's pretty close to bone, so it shouldn't be. It's not something that you're reminded of, but the lips are so highly mobile that to me softness and suppleness is so important. Now, as you probably know, I love silicone liquid treatments, which is something that's off-label. I'm not going to go through too much detail about silicone. But the really reason I like it is, yes, it's irreversible. And I do a lot of corrections for people coming in from out of town, surprisingly, that they've just had bad techniques done. I do very safe silicone. But the reason I like it is that you can't feel the product in about 99% of the time. In the 1%, it's barely palpable, you barely can feel it. And I like that. I like it so soft. Even Juvederm and Restylane is somewhat hard, but you take that spectrum of hardness and you go to the implant side, the solid implants, it just feels like rocks. If you don't believe me, ask someone, that you know that has had a solid implant, and feel it. And I don't care which one they've had, it feels hard. I felt the new ones, the new VERAFILs, I felt the old ones, I felt everything in between, and they're all hard like rocks. They feel like a solid silicone breast implant that just has encapsulation. It just feels like a rock, and there's no shape and design work. That's so important, is that when you look at lips, you have to have a sense of artistry when you're designing them. And when you just put a solid implant in, it's great for a technician. It is not great for an artist, because an artist looks at it and says, boy, that's ugly. A technician says, good, look how perfectly I put it in. I think there's a huge divide between the two, because yes, technically I execute things very well, but also it has to look good. Ultimately, I mean, does it look attractive? And lips are one of those things that you know as well as I do. There's certainly a lot of bad ones out there. And I always say, if you can tell that the lip was done, I didn't do the work. And so that's just a short synopsis of why I don't prefer solid implants. They shrink, they get infected, they feel hard, they don't look natural, and they don't feel natural. And I challenge you to make a big distinction between what a physician hands you in their palm to what you feel in a person's lip. Go feel someone's lip that's had it done, and I defy you, squeeze it between the fingers, touch it, and ask that person, are you constantly reminded you have a solid implant in there? And most people would say they regret it. So I'm not trying to berate a certain technique. I just want to offer you my philosophy. If you're my patient, you come in for consultation, my feelings about all this so that I don't have to sit down for 20 minutes and go through that. I hope that vlog was helpful for you.